Welcome to this presentation of the internal workings of HuHub as a system. The date of this recording is Saturday, July 29th, 2023, and today we're going to learn a little bit about harmonics through the visuals and information of how HuHub Overunity systems embed into environments. This video is produced by Cavetronics Dimensional Art, sponsored by HuHub Humanitarian Software, which is a product of Cavetronics R&D Energy. This presentation is written and narrated by Melissa R. Cody Prater, and the featured AI artwork was generated with scientist Brian Prater's formula for Overunity. Also, for the record, the animations in these graphics are not the products of Cavetronics Dimensional Art, and they were obtained as free downloadable content from various websites. Different people learn in different manners. When my husband Brian Prater and I snapped the final piece into the elaborate puzzle that makes up HuHub's branch software and efficiency concept, I tried to tell the world about it, but most people could not understand what I was describing. To overcome the language barriers between our vision of HuHub, I've spent the last decade working my words, visual information, and communications over and over like dough. The dough is the collective consciousness, which is somewhat fluid but sticky, more like jello gelatin in its present state as of this date. If it were jello, it would be getting cold, but still quite wiggly and not firm. Parts would still be oozy, and if I touched it, it would leave indentions due to the temperature and conditions. Hopefully today's agenda is gentle but energizing as we review a compilation of works that I have made public about HuHub within various formats, including earlier videos, website content, and classwork for college courses in marketing, which is how this presentation starts with a comprehensive breakdown of HuHub's micro and macro environments, its marketing strategies, and more. In the second section, primary focus areas, we overview what is most important when it comes to HuHub. It is the tip of the spear, whereby everything else, such as the software and other project initiatives, are byproducts of our calls to repair the world, a goal repeated throughout time and by many sages. Nowadays, however, unlike the past, we have the technological capacities and capabilities to empower ourselves and become sustainable as a human species and extend the right of sustainability to other life on Earth, such as the animals, insects, trees, and so on. Without going too deep, this presentation offers some of the ideas reorganized to highlight certain aspects of HuHub as a system, such as in the third section for optimized distribution methods. Most of this presentation is a compilation with new imagery, but the fourth section for programming the NetHood contains some new information about HuHub's brain network and how it functions. After that, most of the visual images and text information on the slides will be reviewed, but the narration may discuss something else entirely different, which I often do in these videos for those who may already be familiar with my style. Let's begin. I've heard people talk about the future without imagination, and too many movies have tried to program people badly, offering them no solution but to return to a simpler era without technology after some hypothetical collapse in society. Other people seem to be ready to plug themselves into the matrix, equip the headgear, and leave their body behind to rot in a corner while their minds enter the metaverse forevermore. However, at Cavetronics R&D Energy, we truly believe that we have a better idea. HuHub is more than a humanitarian software. It is a system which I will explain throughout this presentation. As a whole system, HuHub merges technology and our many types of world environments to elevate them, rather than suppress and overwhelm them. HuHub can operate from the common, decentralized place of the web, yet it will be able to benefit us on a local level. In fact, the focus is on local hubs and local environments because there is no centralization for HuHub, which needs to be everywhere. HuHub isn't a government. HuHub is not an authority over extrinsic systems. Rather, its pressure and ability to affect other world systems comes from control and distribution of its content and resources that go hand in hand with its dedication to good business practices and the people as the users of HuHub. Section 1. Marketing Plan for HuHub. Rather than read to you when you could simply download the PDF available at the link provided in the description for this video, I think it's more important to tell you some things that would not necessarily look that pretty on HuHub's marketing materials, such as it's important to know that we at Cavetronics don't have an agenda for world domination per se. We are neither capitalist or Marxist. We're not rich and we don't work for them. We are not the military and our software isn't meant for the military. It is meant for business and the people, and to help the people elevate themselves with its tools and concepts. When we began to put HuHub together, I didn't know it would become quite so large and elaborate. But that is what it ended up becoming in order to simply overcome the massive volume of obstacles that act as barriers to progress. So HuHub was constructed from the perspective of the little guy. And HuHub's system stacked up one branch upon another, like a ladder out of an economic hell. That is part of the reasoning for the quote from Systems Innovation YouTube channel, which is included here on this slide that says, "It is not so much about the parts as how the parts work together to enable effective overall outcomes." As I was saying, while you are watching this hopefully professional looking video, it is important to know that on the most basic level, at Cavetronics and HuHub, we are just two human techs that believe in the solutions we have devised from our understanding of technology and the problems that need to be corrected. Currently, our intent, our agenda, is to present this information as a tool for humanity to guide their understanding that a technological future does not have to look like or be a nightmare, nor do we have to return to the pioneer days or the dark ages to get away from the evil AI systems, oligarchs, and monopolies. The financial projections on this slide is from a conservative estimate of potential first-year profits, provided that all the conditions for a large-scale manufacturing campaign and TV ad-sponsored launch would be successful, which gets increasingly harder as the economy and various types of infrastructure collapse. Investors in HuHub should view HuHub as a whole system, and as such, it is the product that they would be investing in. As a product, HuHub humanitarian software, once built and implemented, would then be able to generate more products. This characteristic of HuHub is due to the Overunity methods within its system, and it is why we call HuHub a blessing software, because it is a gift that keeps on giving. As it spreads and becomes increasingly utilized, It can create abundance in its own looped system that acts as a balancing method to corporate greed elsewhere. One of the main points that I want to make in this presentation is that HuHub is made of many parts that we call branches, which will be an entire section in this presentation later on. And one of those branches requires income sources, of course, some of which are described here. To the left, there are three types of examples. The first block of text includes some typical software programs and services that HuHub can offer businesses. And the next block going down the left-hand column, gaming revenue is a strong avenue for profitability. And the third image is of a new concept for HuHub digital environments, which are explained in more detail in a previous video titled Overunity and HuHub Walk into the Future, which I recommend for HuHub designers, programmers, and marketing personnel. This slide offers a synopsis of HuHub's micro environment and macro environment, which will be further detailed as this presentation continues. Aside from some minor edits, the text in this first section of 20-some slides is taken from the marketing plan I wrote and submitted as my final project for marketing class at Columbia College in 2019. Because HuHub is more elaborate than most organizations or products, the paperwork was 17 pages single-spaced, which was about 5 times longer than the requirements. It would take about an hour to read it aloud, so I won't. The concepts expressed on this slide should be of particular importance to programmers to develop their thinking and understanding of how HuHub's system reacts to interactions and the cause and effect aspects built in. HuHub's perspective may seem lofty, but it is derived from a place of humility and struggle of the commonplace man and woman, in this case, being my husband and me. So that these words used in HuHub's marketing materials are not empty globalist lies. Rather, they reflect how we understand the world and solutions as systems engineers and servants of humanity. On this slide, I'd like to point out a quote that relates to one of the main topics of this presentation concerning HuHub as a system, which says that the value of the whole is nonlinear, meaning it is distributed out across the whole organization. It is more the distributed weak ties between people of different backgrounds that ensures the overall integrity of the community. That quote from Systems Innovation describes how HuHub acts as a network and a system made up of weak ties, which are the people, the users of HuHub. Also, I would like to mention that marketing research will be a big part of the HuHub system, and it is part of the foundation for HuHub's content management system, which will produce HuHub-approved content. This is the SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats, which describe the climate of the business world, society, and other factors that could affect the success of HuHub regarding reputation and financial profits. HuHub's strengths well outweigh its weaknesses. Although HuHub in its expanded form is rather overwhelming to tally, on the most fundamental level of programming, the software for a public launch, HuHub software can be snapped together relatively quickly and easily. However, HuHub does not end there. Rather, it is a company and a system to be maintained and grown. Being the first of its kind is only a weakness until the concept has gained support and been adopted. Spread and planted like seeds, HuHub will grow in hubs here and there in a decentralized manner predictably And within a closed-loop system, HuHub will track and distribute profits in a manner that redistributes sustainable products, services, businesses, and manufacturing factories in areas that support HuHub. HuHub has greater potential than popular websites and social media currently, which are compartmentalized by their overall functionality and the product they offer the public. So Google may have many aspects, but people mainly use it as a search engine, while Twitter and Facebook deliver chopped up bits of thoughts and confusing way to talk, especially if you really want to speak with others more fluidly in live discussion, rather than imprison its users into programmable bubbles that only make sense to companies like Facebook and LinkedIn. HuHub expects dissimilar human people to meet and talk without strange and biased barriers getting in between them. I don't talk much these days to anyone. I became quiet while watching the news repeat for years. Same headlines, same details, same names, same stories year after year. In the news, we had 3 Easters this year, and the same villains just did the same crimes again for the first time ever, and so on, like a merry-go-round that plays a single song over and over, round and round. We are indeed in a war that affects the natural human body and every other part of us, from our souls to our digital bank accounts and real-world wallets. We've been sustaining constant attacks for decades, but we're shrinking, and at this point in the war, it isn't really hope that drives us. We're on autopilot like a mission burned into our hearts, souls, and minds that we refuse to let go of because we see why, as we look around this world, why we came here with this mission in the first place. And we will continue to fight so long as we live or until this horrible nightmare ends. I am not sure which will come first. Although the enemy constructs the news to say we're anything other than human, we are indeed frail humans like yourselves, clothed in a mortal body and given the task and opportunity to repair the world. There are many technologies that are worth our attention, but none of them equal the usefulness of HuHub humanitarian software and what it can do for humanity. One of the points I want to express the best way I can is how HuHub brings things together rather than separating people, ideas, and resources into divided demographic categories, labels, culture, or flavors. Minus the blockchain integration details from this 2019 marketing segmentation chart, the information is interesting and useful to get an idea of the scope of HuHub's primary target markets and the products to be offered to those each. This chart makes it easy to discern more about HuHub software and its value to society. HuHub's structure reflects our thinking and mission as systems engineers and humanitarians. And we have long understood the concept that all profits are not created equal, and that profits which carry a social benefit are indeed better for everyone. As humans, we choose whether to or not to contribute to things in this world. For example, I need an income, but I choose not to work at Walmart, which I believe has caused the downfall of too many family businesses, including my husband's once thriving local pet shop. For many years, I choose not to shop at Walmart as much as I can help not to, and I slip up about 3 times a year, even though it's almost the only store left in town. As a natural-born leader, I understand that Even if I cannot see payment for my labor at this time, there is value in working for a better future, even if it turns out to be a biblical one. Some people may consider HuHub as a disruptive technology, but consider this. It's all about the people's will and what they want and how they want to control themselves and their activities in business and other areas. HuHub is the economic and potentially the government model of the future, and it is formulated to be a viable working reality now using current technology and programming languages. It is very evident to us at Cavetronics that people's brains are all wired differently. We do not all think the same or about the same things. We do not all make the same correlations between things, nor do we all know the inner workings and workarounds of technology and consciousness. Usually it takes many teams to formulate such an elaborate answer like HuHub's intelligent living software can be. With HuHub, we make it like we want it to be, and we think you'll agree once you see the reasoning of why certain aspects and branches are a part of HuHub's system and overall tree-like structure. Pricing is one of those components that we can negate now in the before time, so to speak, to program the future and project our vision of what can happen, such as how HuHub users will decide the rate they prefer to pay for software and services, and final decisions are made within HuHub systems for AI and human-driven results. This is a simplified illustration of how HuHub is a conversion engine for good. The smart art on this slide shows how HuHub receives real-world aspects into its decision-making software and then distributes results to various platforms like cell phones and smart cars or anywhere with access to the web. In HuHub's branching software that shows its distribution trunk lines in the form of a tree, its users are seen as leaves. Leaves produce the need for support from its source, which is the tree, in this case HuHub. The leaves generate a need, which generates opportunities for jobs for people in various fields of their expertise within HuHub, some of which are seen here matched with their respective HuHub features, such as the business NetHood will generate the need to hire sales, marketing, and customer support staff. To meet the needs of the businesses that purchase HuHub services, many more fields of expertise will be incorporated, such as analysts and designers for HuHub special environments that can visually simulate the active weather of local hubs. I've been listening to the crosstalk as always, and I agree with a popular voice that says the left lane is for passing, and only people that intend to pass and can do so successfully, and which action would benefit the whole environment it affects, should do so, and be allowed to do so without disagreement or road rage. In other words, weaklings and crybabies should stick to the shoulder if necessary, but stay out of the left lane unless they can become the pace car for the entire pack. I'm from North Carolina, 16 minutes from Lowe's Motor Speedway, where NASCAR rules, so I understand these sort of things. I believe our reaction should match the moment we're in, which is why I'm still fighting, because the war is waged on the field and the path between us and our future. I believe there is a way forward collectively if and when our consciousness becomes more congealed around HuHub's system. On the surface, HuHub is a humanitarian software, which in my opinion lacks most of its meaning since there are no other equivalents to compare it to. HuHub came forth from the ground, from the people, to be delivered to the people, for the people's benefit, which is why it always included a very strict policy ensuring users' rights and privacy. I suspect, and it's just a guess, that under these conditions where users can feel safe to be themselves in the future, HuHub may learn that people are not so divided over race and other demographics. This is the references list for the marketing plan we just looked at, which is why I wanted to include it before we continue on to the next section. To summarize the marketing plan from an investment perspective, HuHub's value is boundless with potential, beginning with its unique system and the products it can offer from there. Now we're going to go deeper into HuHub's system and illustrate some of its beneficial future operations. Section 2. Primary Focus Areas. This section contains a mixture of some previously released and some new information that has been reorganized according to its priority in the big picture as we see it, wherein we derive our intentions and reasoning for the principles and user protections we included in HuHub's software concept. When it comes to establishing rules, too many rules create obstacles to progress, whereas too few rules can destabilize society. The balance comes from the diversity we include, which acts as its own system of management to counteract behaviors and events naturally. HuHub's software mimics the natural order of things. It is a technological mirror of ecosystems, and as such we see it as an ever-evolving brain network. This slide highlights the use of AI, but to repeat myself from previous videos, HuHub's AI stays in the box, so to speak, and will have oversight so that changes are ultimately made by humans. When it says merging people and statistical AI, it is specifically talking within HuHub systems how user input and AI results are entered into HuHub's core processes for evaluation. At HuHub and Capetronics, we are not afraid of AI, and we strongly support regulation of its use, especially considering the evidence problems in the current news distortions. At the core of it all, the goal is sustainability. At Capetronics and HuHub, we believe sustainability doesn't have to look rugged. However, we see how nature can survive and thrive with technological advancements that will help us make smarter, more informed decisions in the near future. I say near future because if we don't do it soon, we may not have one to talk about. On this slide depicting a modern art museum or shopping mall area, I want to point out the unique location that the AI bot put a signature. The background image is zoomed in to show the signature on a marble column that I have surrounded with twinkling stars. The full image is shown on the left, and it was produced with Brian Prater's formula for Overunity and various medium including black obsidian, fire onyx, moldavite, ruby, and white marble. Art and science meet at the pinnacle of human understanding, which is the basis for higher law, also known as universal law. The pinnacle is a point spot of singularity, wherein the individual loops in humility as one of the many servants that support its structure, so that there is a balance in the system, and the system supports its foundations, which are the people. In HuHub, if people don't like something, they can change it as part of the decision-making structure, because HuHub is a concept system for the people. It is elaborate yet flexible, providing its capacity for growth and adaptability. HuHub is meant to be a tool for the people. HuHub's potential unlocks as it grows, and more is understood about its divine concepts embedded in the spirit, nature, and deep thinking that went into the formalization of the foundation for this humanitarian software proposal. In 3 words, HuHub's primary goal is save the world. For HuHub to work, it had to take a top-down approach to correcting a patchwork of unorganized systems which are in conflict with each other and with us as the humans affected by them. So some may think that HuHub appears as globalization, but really it is the solution that 2 humanitarian systems engineers formulated after decades of compiling knowledge and much preponderance on how to stop the insane imbalance that creates poverty, injustice, and inequality that affects us directly. So we really mean what we say at HuHub. We put our intentions, calls, reasoning, and vision for the future for the public to see and understand, so that they can accept the facts we present and decide for themselves what is right. However, I'm unaware of anyone else, government, agency, or company that have offered such a plan with benefits. And aside from the software, Cavetronics originally began and has spent most of its focus on alternative energy technologies. So working with us in the long run may shorten the amount of time it takes to get this country and the world on the right track for sustainability. We've spent a lot of time dreaming, researching, calculating, and spinning the details of HuHub systems in our minds, hearts, words, and actions. We understand this system deeply as the diviners and developers of this wisdom. HuHub is virtuous from its conception and delivered its appropriate name that aptly describes it and its functions as computational principles for computer science as well as moral being. HuHub software, assisted by AI statistical research with human oversight, will generate options, suggestions, procedures, charts, instructions, and other data as results to user queries. HuHub sifts through all possibilities and produces solutions with strict parameters that ensure the safety of humanity. In order to create such a software, certain core principles or virtues are required for both the longevity of the software and the stability of humanity now as we progress into a better future world. These virtues start with humility, which must reach the apex in a hierarchical structure in order to provide for the tree and its roots, branches, and leaves. With humility comes modesty and respectfulness, while continually practicing mindfulness of others and all things in our surroundings. Section 3. Optimized distribution methods. This is where HuHub reveals some of its powerful capacity to direct change. This section and ones to follow are especially packed with useful information for HuHub programmers, and it contains some terminology that may be unfamiliar to anyone who isn't a programmer already, such as seen here. HuHub's core will be a supercomputer connected to other computers that make up HuHub's engine, which will act like an organic brain network. That is not literal pink fleshy substance that I'm talking about. Rather, it is a description of how the computers and people will function together in an organic manner on HuHub's web-based platform. Basically, to remove all doubt and fear of the wording, the organic brain network is a fancy scientific way of describing HuHub communications. HuHub will offer a standardized platform that delivers important information to its users that is relevant to their local hub area of choice, so that users everywhere can become familiar with the standardized layout and features and enjoy its portability. HuHub's optimized distribution of information will deliver content to local hubs that match the data for that area. For more nuanced specifics on local hubs, content, and those environments, watch the previous HuHub video titled Overunity and HuHub Walk into the Future. To continue, HuHub's optimized distribution of information takes the hard work out of being a perfectionist in the world. It can correct errors before most people would notice them. It utilizes input from users, other websites, libraries, wikis, and AI-driven statistics to evaluate world systems and distribute HuHub-approved content throughout its networked businesses and hubs, which are a couple of the numerous types of end-user environments. HuHub can be made to generate and distribute information as content corrections, upgrades, and updates as part of NetHood integration, as well as proactively to spur change in areas that need HuHub's assistance. HuHub is the software of our future, compiled and revealed as a unifying humanitarian, scientific, technological concept, complete with the ingredients for growth, scalability, and perpetual user integration. HuHub meets people where they are in their environment, putting technological answers in the hands of the people. HuHub is much better than the newspaper, of which people are familiar with its history of information distribution. HuHub is a bidirectional system of communication, which differentiates from newspapers, TV, and media that talk at us or about us, but not with us. The information on the left side of this slide comes from some of our earliest notes in white paper for HuHub. It reflects some of our prioritization of the NetHood branches and how this software will affect the users, which incorporates known symbols that users already recognize so that they can make those attachments automatically in the new visual framework, which may seem overwhelming at first to some users. Distribution of information in HuHub involves different processes according to the type of data, where the content originated and its destination, what its functionality or purpose is within the system, whether it requires additional oversight and where, and if it requires quantitative computation and hardware resources. such as the Ask HuHub Anything feature, which is the final puzzle piece that snapped into place in April-May 2012. The Ask HuHub Anything function as a quantitative feature within a humanitarian software opened HuHub's potential as a system of conversion and transition from the old to the new, which will deliver optimized choices as suggestions to HuHub's users' questions. Optimized distribution of goods and services in HuHub starts with the business nethood and expands into the real world as opportunities allow and profits increase from advertising and sales of software, gaming, and other products and services. As HuHub grows, it can support local hub growth, giving higher ranking priority to those local hubs that show the strongest support for HuHub by utilizing its nethoods for business and employment, etc. HuHub's website will promote and support advertising for businesses and their products and services, which HuHub will calculate for high sustainability rating. Those businesses, products, and services that meet HuHub's standard for sustainability can become part of HuHub approved nethood of content businesses, programs, and delivery system of information. From early on, while living in various rural small towns in the United States, we have learned about the need for optimized distribution of manufacturing from first-hand experiences. As members of Generation X, we witnessed the last vestiges of manufacturing in small towns before production was outsourced to other countries. We watched as our country's employment opportunities were pulled out like a rug from under our feet. Meanwhile, in the news, the media told us to cut back and save while the leaders starved us out by withholding jobs and resources. These are the types of large-scale problems that HuHub was formulated to correct within its system, which will extend to financially support the development of manufacturing in areas that are calculated by HuHub to bring efficiency standards up within its active hubs. One of the biggest obstacles to moving forward on a large scale is dealing with the gaps in education and human resources. HuHub's solution utilizes its employment nethood and gaming environments to evaluate workers' skills and aptitude for certain tasks. In this way, HuHub can help boost employment towards a large-scale transition from the old ways into a new era. Another way HuHub can help humanity transition is to show them their progress using statistical records and other information in what we call before and after HuHub. This presentation should highlight how HuHub will be able to offer optimized distribution of wealth, of which its capacity to do so will increase alongside profits, of course. The two diagrams are both meant to express the same economic flow and distribution of resources in a closed-loop or semi-closed-loop system of networking businesses and consumers. Section 4. Programming the nethood. This section contains a mixture of some new and previously released information. Until recently, the focus has been on generating interest, but I feel the time has come to start preparing the programming materials for development, which I hope begins soon. That may require a miracle, but I know those happen all the time, and I'm holding space for that while I project the following instructions to those out there that may be listening and thinking how to program HuHub to help us all. Pay close attention to the nethood structure in this diagram and the details within it. For a review, this is a sample of benefits and features that may be popular among HuHub users. Content like the Job Hut Center at the top left will be generated from HuHub's employment nethood to reflect the jobs for that hub's physical location, so that HuHub will bring the most accurate information to its users as part of its HuHub approved content management system. Participation in HuHub allows users to earn merits and other rewards, some of which may be cross-platformed with promotional campaigns by HuHub sponsors, who may offer shopping discounts and other benefits to HuHub users. As we consciously pre-program HuHub, the text on these slides contain information for programmers, and in this case, the content on this slide is meaningful by SQL programmers who will code the relational databases in HuHub. These details describe the types of users and their software access requirements regarding the assignment of permissions, of which details are established before programming language code is written. And as the product owner, it is fundamentally my duty to explain the needs within HuHub's mini world to ensure that the structural development of these important systems are made to be scalable in the future with software upgrades and expansions to programs and other ideas that could be incorporated into HuHub. This is a compilation of some old information from around 2016 that I released about the branches of HuHub's tree structure. One thing I want to point out is that the nethood will consist of an ever-increasing and unlimited number of words as categories, or nethoods in this case, which are a part of a fluid-like dynamic structuring of the content. These lists are more examples of the types of typical popular nethoods that users can expect to choose from their own customizable dashboard. In the image in the lower right-hand corner, a feature called Pocket Lawyer is mentioned, which is an actual company, but without a different name for the service. I simply used what people are already aware of to describe the types of services that HuHub can bring into the hands of people for their protection. Inside HuHub systems, priority ratings will be assigned to nethoods according to their sustainability factors, so that the correlating world systems can better be monitored and managed as needed. However, HuHub users will have some control over the information they see on their dashboard. Section 5. HuHub e-government communications. HuHub's structure is versatile enough to substitute as a decentralized government, but its freedom comes from being an independent business and organization that could act as a medium between governments and the people. This topic was discussed in more detail in the last video, so I won't repeat myself this soon, and the information is provided again on this slide. I do want to point out that on the left I included another AI signature piece, and the signature is at the bottom left hand corner surrounded by twinkling stars once again. Polls and surveys play a main role in the type of input needed for a useful and effective decision making in computational software. Users will be incentivized to participate in many types of polls and should become increasingly comfortable as they use HuHub and learn how it works, in order that they may provide their real opinions in the future, so that HuHub can deliver the best choices to each user. Section 6. HuHub Employment Nethood. This slide is also a repeat of information about HuHub's Employment Nethood, which was discussed in more detail in Egnosis Part 13. It is included as part of this compilation of HuHub materials as being one of the founding cornerstones of this software's concept. The Employment Nethood is part of the economic backbone of HuHub, and initially programming aspects should ensure that the Employment Nethood gets a large portion of the attention to ensure its scalability for multiple programs and initiatives boost of employment opportunities everywhere. As mentioned in Part 13, HuHub wants to implement various types of employment placement testing using games or gaming interfaces as on-the-job simulators. These tests would check for cross-compatibility with other job fields based on the test taker's choices in various scenarios. These games would most likely be built by other gaming companies like Blizzard Entertainment perhaps, which would be contracted by HuHub. Therefore, employee placement testing may not be available with only a partial build and public launch of the software, as opposed to a full launch that may require additional funding for game developers. Section 7. Gaming Environments. It may be cheaper to hire the gaming developers ourselves, and that is a subject worth discussion when the time is right. In the interim, this slide and the one to follow are a couple of sneak peeks into the visual concepts I have been working on for the Atlantean theme game. The background image on the left is of an amber crystal chamber set that have some type of computer technology inside. They are located in an underground cave where giant Atlanteans once lived and worked. In the game, the player is a time traveler who must restore the technology in order to rescue his civilization elsewhere in the beyond. Icon mapping is, to the best of my knowledge, a HuHub term specifically due to the way we define it, as like a trail of cookie crumbs used as a tagging method, which will help HuHub learn each user in order to improve interactions with them. This may be especially useful in education to help students learn through cross-associations of data, concepts, and other visual content, of which information describes the data involved with icon mapping. This information is rather leaky, but it allows you to see that we are not hiding our intentions or purpose, both of which we feel are good and on target to supply answers to serious issues like disappointing levels of literacy, math skills, and scientific expertise. In a world that has pushed redundant, low-quality, high-profit capitalism for decades, people now lack the wisdom and education that may be needed in a highly technological era in the near future. Cognitive restructuring techniques may be elements of the HuHub gaming environments, HuHub 3D World, and other areas of HuHub to distribute rewards using icon mapping programming. Section 8. Main types of money flows. Since optimized distribution is one of the central focal points of this presentation, I decided to include some details about the basic flow of financial resources. The diagram on the right represents a large-scale overview of HuHub's economic organization. Starting with the business nethood, money flows to and from businesses in HuHub's business nethood. while HuHub must pay its suppliers and contribute to projects like development of manufacturing, Goodwill, and JobHut. And rounding out HuHub's economy, HuHub users will spend money in HuHub, and in return, HuHub will reward them with merits that are exchangeable for real money. To the casual user, HuHub will be an attractive, sticky site. But inside HuHub's economy, the stickiness is the stability that comes from these pillars of sustainability seen here. The first on this list is expected to be HuHub's bread and butter, so to speak. The cornerstone of HuHub's capital will be its nethood of business and advertising, even though gaming industry is also profitable and strong in difficult economic climates. Together with a competitive merit rating marketing system and HuHub's proprietary compression techniques and cybersecurity methods, HuHub will have long-lasting durability to be able to stay in the game for many decades and perhaps centuries if the company and policies are maintained properly and upgrades continue. This list of terms and their descriptions in the business nethood came from the last video, where they are scattered throughout the presentation, so I gathered them up and placed them with some details about HuHub sponsors, as well as a couple of samples in the lower right hand corner of what the environments or background visual imagery may look like for individuals and businesses that advertise on HuHub. As another cornerstone of this software concept, the business nethood requires a lot more attention than I want to give it in this video. However, this slide gives an idea of the extensive programs to be launched within business nethood branch and trunk line. One of the aspects of HuHub merits that I've not talked about before, but I think now is a good time, is how the merits could be offered as an incentive to programmers that may choose to volunteer their labor in the same pay-it-forward manner that I am doing. In that way, the merits could possibly turn into real income once the software is off the ground. Merits collect up in meters that look like old-style mercury-filled thermometers, which accrue in an ascending order but never downward. Once a meter is full, rewards can be exchanged for those merits contained in that meters. And then a new meter appears, ready to be filled. Section 9. Special HuHub features. HuHub's branding will feature emerging tech and offer these benefits to the public for free, such as the best cybersecurity and compression software on Earth, unhackable quantum voting, and quantitative results tailored for the user from Ask HuHub Anything. HuHub will feature environments, such as these designs which display HuHub's Overunity-style branding. Other environments can earn users money who submit their own creations to be purchased on HuHub by other HuHub users. We at Cavetronics R&D Energy have fought against net neutrality and the monopolistic initiatives to take away communications via the internet for many, many years. We believe HuHub should be a place where people can meet and talk to each other again, or maybe for the first time. This idea is incorporated into the new social media concept called the Book of Who, whereby snippets of song titles, lyrics, musicians' names, or celebrities, and along with their quotes or brand names, etc., are woven into storylines that are passed along to others through social media. As it is passed along, it can be added to in order to create narratives and other songs of Pooh. This is currently being threaded through HuHub's starter website social media extension that we named after some content found in one of the songs of the popular hip hop and rap artist Tom MacDonald. The other notes on this page are put together for their interrelatability and future structuring of HuHub systems, and also updated to reflect material that has now been made public. There will be much more to come on these topics in the future. If you combine information from this presentation with the previously released content from other videos as seen on this slide, you may understand or begin to comprehend our systematic thinking concerning subtle details in our software, such as the slipstream technology and e-learning environments, as well as the gaming connectivity to a user's conscious mind stream. HuHub programming must be careful to ensure that the icon mapping and rewards involved in the slipstream capabilities will coincide with that user's best choices, which means the more the user interacts within HuHub, the more refined the choices will be delivered and will become more useful over time as the HuHub user increases their usage in HuHub. Once again, there should be an emphasis on choice, along with commercials and other videos, in order to keep users' thinking and decision making stable and balanced. So there should be a step-by-step process of crumbs that show a path and the many hops, redirects, and engagements, which will look like an elaborate mapping of ideas, much like the NetHood itself. These notes in text that you see written on this slide are vital to HuHub's brand and branding. The ideas express the inner nature of how the software helps people reconnect with their world, while technology becomes the invisible background as an assistant, allowing users to enjoy their environments. These videos and images and the energy of the colors and their other subtle aspects visually, and the ideas surrounding environments, nature, climate, weather, flowers, people, and so forth, should be considered as part of the branding and style that best represents HuHub, its foundation, spirit, and heart of the matters that involve people and our collective reality. In HuHub's standardized platform, environments reflect the local hub's real-time weather patterns, seasons, and behaviors to look like the hubs where the data is coming from, so that if it is raining in Seattle, then the digital environment for the local hub in Seattle will show rain also. This slide includes some notes that may be useful to programmers, but for the sake of time, I'm going to keep moving along to the next section. Section 10, Beyond the Software, includes a collage of ideas we've been working through for many years. We think big because it's in our nature to do so. And we see how things all weave together to reveal beautiful patterns when the correct alignments are in order. At our heart, we are down-to-earth people, and we're both Virgos too. So home and hearth is near and dear to our thoughts and our equations. If things worked well enough, you'd probably have never heard of us. But we had to go big or be eliminated. After you watch this video and have had some time to reflect on it, I want you to ask yourself, who can help the Who on Earth more than HuHub? In the future, if you need help, tell HuHub. Problems can be solved quickly, and people can focus on the details that matter in their world rather than the obstacles that don't matter in the long run, as we overcome them with superior wisdom and these ideas as tools of technology. Very few of the architectural images out of hundreds that I generated had AI signatures, and this is my favorite. As soon as I saw it, I knew it belonged in the House of Healing, where visitors can lie down to meditate or take a nap. From a lifetime of first-hand experience talking about our vision of the future and these technological ideas to various people, we know that they often tend to be overwhelmed with brain activity, and sometimes they fall asleep from it. So we think seating areas are important in Goodville and other HuHub environments. We've come to the last section, section 11, current status and solutions on the ground level. This is the part of my job that I like the least in public relations, and that is my duty to deliver the message, no matter what the message says and how the people will react when it comes to bad news. My job is to ensure that the medicine goes down smoothly. So this is when I must clear some debris from the mainstream narrative lies. From some reason, there is a debate whether global warming is occurring. And I will admit that the mainstream media may be jacking up the narrative to overkill global warming, which is what I would do if I was listening to an evil AI, demonic construct, or some human psyops for instructions in order to predictively know human behavior would reject certain things and target others and then position themselves so that the good side destroys their own future sustainability. That's bot world tactics. As I have discussed in previous videos, bots are programmed to blend so that their behaviors appear randomized. I pointed out that it appears some bots are programmed to mimic the least common denominator. If that is applied to the real world, then that behavior could be used as an attempt to mask or spoof something else. So in that aspect, bot behavior would act like a shield to hide something or someone. Whether Earth is experiencing a warming pattern that will continue or not, we do have other serious issues to address, such as the toxicity of waters and land environments around the world. We have water shortages, water tables falling, major lakes drying up, major rivers drying up, and if nothing else, a trash dump that rivals Texas floating in the Pacific. Also, the oceans are shutting down due to warming water. In the past week, off the coast of Florida, ocean water surface temperature reached 101 degrees Fahrenheit. The warming temperatures kill the coral, which is a living organism that cleans the toxins out of the oceans, but it cannot do that when it is dead. Part of our jobs at Cavetronics and HuHub is to come up with solutions as humanity and Earth need them. After hearing of this serious increase in ocean water temperature, of which should be around 70 to 76 degrees Fahrenheit, scientist, engineer, and inventor Brian D. Prater has devised the solution to correct the problem using a piping technology, which could cool ocean water down to 62 degrees Fahrenheit if needed. Pipes could be placed at depths of 200 meters or around 600 foot deep to even depths of 2,000 feet in order to retrieve cooler temperature water and pump it up to the surface. So it would work like a conveyor belt that can cool ocean water near coastlines in the hotter areas, like Florida, for example, where we see this type of problem occurring. The pump could be powered by wind and solar, which could be attached by buoy to the piping or could be set on top of floating platforms. Or those systems could be placed near wind generation farms on land near the beachside to power the regulation systems. These piping systems could also aerate the oceans and use sprinkler systems to disperse the cooler water onto the surface. A similar technology and concept is known as deep ocean circulation driven by temperature and salinity. But these systems that I describe now would be powered by renewable and hybrid energy generation systems. At Capetronics, we think proactively around every corner from every angle. Although HuHub would make a great company on its own, due to the necessity it holds, we offer these ideas as potential proposals to Congress to bring HuHub into fruition as a new civil right, perhaps, which would be an extension of our voting rights protected with a quantum voting system. Another way HuHub could be proposed is as a system which government could adopt to transition workers and train employees for the industry transition to renewable power, which would help counterbalance the negative effects of increased automation and AI use. Thirdly, HuHub could also be proposed as a scientific research method to provide sustainability models. Or perhaps there are other proposals that Congress would accept wherein HuHub could be expanded from the ground level I am describing as an interlinked system of branches with checks and balances throughout the software processes. In the Agnosis series, it pained me a bit to have to drag HuHub through the mud to find humanity in the fog of the hypnotized global consciousness. And now it feels to me like the people are nestling into a groove of a reality that requires our immediate actions, which is why I've been releasing this vital information for our collective survival. As I have mentioned several times already in this presentation, I encourage people to also watch the video listed here, which goes into detail how HuHub can be the incentive for people everywhere to engage in repairing the world. Listening to the chatter like crosstalk in the Tao, I recognize that I need to address HuHub team structure, which I have before mentioned as agile, being the model of small teams with up to 9 members who are each highly skilled in multiple fields and are information radiators themselves, just like Agile's model presents. However, there is some controversy surrounding Agile, and the point I would like to take from it is the methodology and structure rather than the proprietary software it supports, because technically my team has always believed that HuHub should be built using a Linux platform, and HuHub should be its own Linux distribution in the future, which will provide users with a HuHub operating platform that they can download and install to use anywhere. As part of this compilation, I feel this repeated information from a previous video is important for people to understand the type of thinking involved with HuHub system. These polymath connected fields that are highlighted and underlined at the bottom of the slide are the types of professional skills and training that we're looking for team members to have among HuHub's core employees of directors and primary development teams. To summarize a few of the main objectives, the merger of technology and nature can be harmonious. One does not have to eliminate or cancel out the other. AI will not turn us into autonomous bots, nor do we have to live without modern comforts in the future. HuHub can help humanity and its users, businesses in its network, and other extrinsic economic and governmental agencies in our world systems. HuHub is a new system for the new era. I would like to close this presentation with a poem that my husband Brian Prater wrote almost 2 decades ago, when we were still thinking of solutions to solve world problems. This first poem on the left-hand side describes the essence of our spiritual journey with this technology and the global consciousness involved in its unfoldment. It reads, "The times arrive in the drops that are not seen. As you look back upon as it was times more, and you see that it's here with this and all. It's a strange stage after stage, and you know it unfolds, both being nice and old in its ways. Dualness to it seems to be the same day after days. As life becomes and is here to stay, 'tis the day when looked upon at the starry night. This is what is so longed for when it's the new day. Never more shall it pass away. As the day begins, it becomes a new dawn. You figured it out as you pass by, and you remember that this is why." We've made it to the end of this presentation on HuHub Humanitarian Software Review from July 2023. We at Cavetronics R&D Energy appreciate your interest in these technologies and hope to hear from you in the comments or join us for a discussion on our forum available at HuHub.tech. Also, if you would like to invest, volunteer, purchase one of these pieces of art, or need to contact us, please email me at youvegotmail@gmail.com. If you have enjoyed HuHub or this artwork, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching and have a great day.